Hello, this is Kurt Schleibaum, and over the last couple of days I've been asked several times on how I personally organize my files for Google Classroom. I do want to point out inside Google Drive there's many different ways, great ways to organize your files. I suggest you use one that works best for you. This is just the one way that I do it. So first we're going to start out in Google Drive. I like to keep everything for Google Classroom inside the Classroom folder that is automatically populated by Google when you set up Google Classroom. You can add files to this file and you can take files back out as long as you do not tamper with the files that say do not edit or do not throw away. If you do break one of those files, it can break a classroom and you'll have to reset it up. Inside the Classroom folder, I add a file called Activities, Resources, and Themes. And I have been using this file to build all my items for all my classrooms. This name works very well because it does start with an A, and when I organize by name, it keeps it at the top left in the grid view and at the top on the list view. So inside our folder here, we have two folders for each of the classes that I teach. So we have a master's folder. This is where I keep anything that I assign to the student or any presentation that I give to the student. I can go back and edit it and modify it for when I reteach the class. In Project Lead Away in the middle school, we change students every 9 weeks. So I restart my Google Classrooms every 9 weeks. This allows me to have what I added this 9 weeks for next 9 weeks with slight changes to the assignment. We're right back up and running without having to look for it through my drive because we all know they can get cluttered in a hurry. The other file I have is a resources file. This resources file is any resource that you want your student to have throughout the entirety of the course. You can organize items in here by unit, in any file structure that you want, because I add this whole file to Google Classroom so they can access it as they need the resources. So if I have a new resource come up that I want to add, instead of having to attach everyone individually, I can throw it in this file and have it for future classes that I'm going to teach. How do I add that? Let's run over to Google Classroom and take a look. So we're going to jump into this robotics class here, and I add my resources file to the About section, and we can name our class and all that right here. We have this Add Materials tab. Underneath Add Materials tab, we can name our file. And I would love to be able to click this Google Drive and be able to add that file, but unfortunately, currently in Classroom, when you use the Google Drive button, you can only add one item at a time. So instead of adding each and every one of those files individually, we're going to add it as a link. So we can go back to our Google Drive, and we're in our robotics resources file. We can go to Share. I like to use the link that says anyone at Seymour Community Schools can view. That way they can't edit my items. They can make a copy if they want it. So we want to give them view rights. We're going to say we have a link. We're going to drop our link right here. Click Add and Post. So what we have here is a nice clickable link right into that Drive file. And I do want to point out that when you look at this file, the students will see it in Classroom View mode. So they can view any of those resources. They can go in and out of different folders to see any of the resources. They can set it in list mode or with the little tiles to be able to have the little picture so they can see what it is. They can open it up in Drive from here and make a copy if they want to be able to take notes on it. But we find that this is pretty clean and easy for the students to get to. Now, why do I add it underneath the About file? It's a nice place to add things that your students are going to constantly be referring back to, because if we add them into the stream, as we add more and more assignments, they are going to get pushed farther and farther down the stream, and your students are going to have to scroll and scroll to go get them. So that is why we add our resources file over in About. So what about those masters files? How does that help me when I'm setting up assignments? So let's look at an assignment. So if we set up an assignment, We can give it a name. We can give it a due date. I can now use my Google Drive button because I'm only adding one item at a time, maybe two items, and I can do that individually. So I can go to my classroom folder, and my activities folder is right on top. I can go to my automation and robotics masters, and now you can see how I have it broken down into different units, or any of them that I have altered or changed I have out here right now, unsorted. So we can select the assignment, click add, and they're right there. I find it very nice to have that files all together inside Classroom so I know where it's at, so I can easily add the assignments and I don't have to go hunting for it in my Google Drive. Like I've said, there's many ways to do this. This just happens to be mine, and since we've had some people asking, I felt like I should share. If you have any good suggestions, feel free to email them in or come hang out with our Tech Tuesdays and our community and share. Thank you for listening.